Hello and welcome back to No Hair All Heart. I'm your host and author, Mookie Spitz. Reading from Jonnie, Fazoolie, and the Transfinite Reality Engine. We're on section 15. The odds not in his favor. I just heard a lecture, acquiesces Basine. Here we go. Where a cosmologist alleged the probability of being able to teleport from one universe to another is infinitesimally small, but non-zero. That sounds like a maybe to me, suggests Jonnie, blowing on his coffee in rapid bursts to cool it, succeeding only in splashing hot black liquid across the white tablecloth, making a mess. More like crazy, she says, twirling an index finger around her ear in the universal sign of insanity. Rational, evidence-based, iconoclastic. When Basine smells nonsense, she calls it out. Crazy sells, counters Jonnie, his mind already exploring sales angles. A hyperdimensional Disneyland, ka-ching, ka-ching. Outrageous things get people outrageously excited. They'll pay. Pay for what? Pay for that. That assumes a multiverse even exists, cautions Basine, and that teleportation between universes makes any sense at all, given the necessary constraints of physics and cosmology. I don't make assumptions, scoffs Jonnie, or even insist that things make sense. Those constraints get in my way. You don't know until you know, and by then it's usually too late. Too late for what? Too late for staking the claim and then watching helplessly from the sidelines as some other douchebag comes along and steals your cool idea, sells it in, and gets rich quicker than you. Then who? Then you. What idea? Build a machine that can jump universes, declares Jonnie, leaping up from his chair, staking his claim. Sensing his own overexcitement, he busts into Tai Chi moves to chill out. Left arm bent at the elbow with forearm facing ahead. Right arm also bent with forearm rotated 90 degrees and crossing his chest. Palms open. Jonnie initiates a solo pushing hands stance. Science is based on evidence, frowns Basine, annoyed at yet another interruption, while admitting to herself, perhaps unconsciously at this point, that this guy actually amuses her. Right arm now bent at the elbow with forearm facing ahead, left arm also bent with forearm rotated 90 degrees and crossing his chest, palms closing. Jonnie sends her energy right back. Hypotheses are tested, proven, or rejected, continues Basine, pretending as though she were pretending not to join their dance. Everything else is outside the realm of science or nonsense. Jonnie breathes deeply, speaks slowly as if in a trance. The war between art and commerce and science is fought by fanciful fools with no clue how to make shit tons of money. How much is a shit ton? Lots and lots. Sounds precise. Pretty accurate, actually. Please sit down. Jonnie freezes in mid-position, nods, collapses back into his seat like a marionette having all its strings cut. Picking up where he left off, he sips his coffee, spilling it again, puddles forming. Cream or sugar? Asks Basine, already knowing the answer, quick to learn, playing ball, not allowing this maniac to frazzle her, let alone command more attention than she's willing to give. Lots and lots, says Jonnie, helping himself to heaping tablespoons, the powder spilling over the saucer and tablecloth. Jonnie, fantasizing his latest order of crystal meth, has arrived. Processed carbohydrates are bad for you, observes Basine. So are extremely dangerous drugs, points out Jonnie. I'm so glad you have everything under control. Every damn day. I'm afraid we are repeating ourselves. Don't be afraid. We are repeating ourselves. You think? So ein Volidiot, she mumbles under her breath. Voldemort's got nothing to do with this, insists Jonnie. You'll make zero money, snaps Basine, arms across her ample chest, Jonnie noticing that she notices that Jonnie notices, until jumping between universes in a multiverse is proven. Proving things doesn't interest me either, snaps Jonnie right back. He burns his lips again, winces again, spills more coffee across the rest of the table. I'm an entrepreneur, not a scientist. How can you sell a product that won't work? That's their problem, winks Jonnie, dumping more sugar into his coffee. Consumers are the cheapest and best beta testers. Let them figure out if it works or not, and by then it'll be too late. Too late for what? Too late to figure out if it works or not. Are you a Schwindler, Herr Fazoolie? I'll be anything you want me to be. That's very thoughtful of you, says Basine, starting to miss the shit ton of other nonsense she was hearing inside the conference, yet unable to ignore, resist, or run from this strange American. You're welcome, says Jonnie, sipping more coffee, his eyes opening wide, then fluttering. Hey, Doc, grok me this one. How many universes in the, what do you call it, multiverse? Infinitely many, of course, sighs Basine, bored but forced to conclude she is somehow attracted to this maniac. Otherwise, there would have to be a limit. And what limit would that be? Arbitrary, so why stop there, agrees Jonnie, having absolutely no idea what he's talking about. Hey, if you have an infinite number of universes, how about calling it the Infiniverse? I have never heard the concept referred to in that way. Let's brand it, he exclaims, getting more and more excited. We can stake our claim right off the top of the whole universe jumping racket. I'll take half and you give me the rest. Deal? Unable to help herself, Basine can't help but smile. For the first time since arriving at this insufferable physics and cosmology conference, she displays candid emotion and lets herself go. For perhaps a nanosecond, yet long enough to blow Fazoolie's mind, Basine glows with pent-up sensuality that hints at a level of libertinism, creativity, and hedonism that's out of this world. Facts, he yells, nodding his head in approval, confusing her. Basine endures her own European physicist milieu of cranks, crackpots, eccentrics, perverts, fakes, and frauds, yet she has never met anyone quite like this guy and is turning curiouser. Jonnie's baffling charm aside, Basine's apprehension to any such exercise in consumerism gives way to what she is forced to acknowledge as centuries of established scientific nomenclature. From failed phlogiston to fundamental quarks, even the most serious theoreticians and experimentalists have adopted creative, whimsical, sometimes absurdist names to help spread their ideas. That tradition is transferred to tech startups too, adding Lewis Carroll and Dr. Seuss style zaniness to the canon. Yahoo, Google, and TikTok, Metaverse to Infiniverse? Why not? Let's assume the number of universes, continues Jonnie, taking advantage of Basine's rumination to hold her interest long enough to be dangerous, goes on and on forever and ever. I thought you didn't make assumptions. For you, I'll make my one and only exception. Just one? And presumably your first? Should I be flattered? Yes, please, grins Jonnie, coffee dribbling down his chin. I prefer to say these infinite worlds are boundless, she clarifies. And we could endlessly explore them, goes Jonnie, knowing that keeping folks talking gets him at least half the way there. Although for this hustle, he's not quite sure where there is. Assuming such technology could ever be designed, let alone developed, again clarifies Basine, less of a buzzkill and now more of a ball buster, of course turning Jonnie on even more. But such a device isn't theoretically impossible, right? I distrust men who use the double negative. No worries, assures Jonnie, shrugging. I never say never. Nice to meet you, Jonnie Fazoolie. Smile scowls Basine Felderhossen, gently shaking his hand, having finally had enough. Thank you very much. She grins and turns to go. Did I give you my card? Asked Jonnie, waving it after her like a small flag, staking his newest claim. He believes nothing is over until it's over, including any chance to get laid or appear on TV. You did, says Basine as she sashays back into the hall, trying to wipe the silly smile off her face before any of her colleagues notice. She holds his card up as empirical proof he's totally nuts. Thought so, winks Jonnie, helping to prove it and succeeding. Jonnie watches her go, touches her card inside his jacket. His spidey senses tingle, hinting she's not done with him yet. Another chance to convert. Hey, what are the odds that you'll call me? Infinitesimally small, her voice trailing, but non-zero. In this universe, shouts Jonnie, or another? Just because something is possible doesn't necessarily mean it exists, says Basine, stopping and turning. And just because something can happen doesn't mean that it will happen. But you said the infiniverse is infinite, he asserts, with an infinite number of universes within it. So sooner or later, here, there, or wherever, whatever is possible must become real. Now, that's the most outrageous thing I've heard all day, she says, chuckling and mock bowing. Congratulations, Dr. J. Fazoolie Stein. You win the conference. Now go write a paper. Or start a company? Find someone who wrote a paper, then start a company. Is that how it works? I told you, grimacing at this insufferable person, it can't. What can't work? Jumping between universes within the multiverse. Infiniverse? Whatever. And who says so? I say so. Well, I say it can work, insists Jonnie. The universe doesn't care what you think, observes Basine. What about the infiniverse? Fiction, not science. What about science fiction? That's not science. Who's counting? I am. Our bet is still on, shouts Jonnie, extending a hand to shake. What bet? Let's set the stakes, he leers, flinging his best Fazoolie flirt face and flailing, but not caring. Aligning the personal with the professional is a mistake, so of course he goes for it. A date? Not in this universe, scoffs Basine, throwing back in a way she's convinced will shut him down. She performs the Mensa equivalent of a hair flip, her zoogs zugging to Jonnie's delight. Then I'll have to jump to another one, winks Jonnie, pleased with himself and starting to take this insane idea seriously. That begs the question, she says, ducking back into a conference session, of your device actually working or not. Just because something is outrageous, says Jonnie as he pours himself another cup of coffee, half of it now drenching the already ruined spread, doesn't make it impossible. We on? Basine squints, forced to accept that logic. Despite every urge of common sense twisting within, she flashes Fazoolie a thumbs up. He mirrors the gesture as she disappears into the conference. Jonnie suddenly misses BS, the cat, for some reason and hopes his kitty is fine up in the hotel room by himself. He'd left in a hurry and a mess, Mamacita kicking his ass and hopefully tidying up. Commotion in the lobby shifts his attention to crates dollied across and into a side conference, adjacent to the main conference hall. The gear tucked inside looks considerable and complex. I didn't know Rammstein was playing tonight, jokes Jonnie. Ha ha, says the tech guy speaking English and getting it. Instead of hydraulic lifts, flamethrowers, conveyor belts, and tanks of CO2, we got racks of NVIDIA chips and local LLMs. Sounds cool, nods Jonnie, leaning in with his lanky frame to get a closer look. Sees Blackwell GB200 NVL72 server racks with NVLink. Amps up to 11. Cool. Any backstage passes? Not for this show, bud, says the techie, slamming lids shut, an entire parade of techies and crates hauling even more top-of-the-line GPU gear inside. But I wouldn't miss it for the world. The cosmetology conference just got more interesting. Thanks for listening. Find out what's going on in the conference. Find out if Jonnie can get that date. Find out where that idea of jumping universes eventually gets our anti-hero. Tune in tomorrow. Like, comment, share.